Welcome to the Wings vs. Rings podcast, a weekly sports conversation from two different cities, two different fan bases, and two different perspectives. From Philly to Boston, we're going to break down the latest games, key stories, and what it all means for the upcoming season. Some thoughtful analysis, honest opinions, and just enough arguing to keep it a bit interesting. I'm Dylan, and I'm the Wings side of things around here. Go Birds.
I'm Seth, the ring side of things. I'm a diehard Boston sports fan with a focus on the Pats and Celtics specifically, but I love all things NFL and NBA related. And me and Dylan talk about these things daily. We're passionate,
And a little biased.
so we thought, why not start a podcast, connect with other people, and pursue our passions? With that being said, let's get started with the NFC East in today's record predictions.
Man, you want to go first? You want me to start it off?
Uh, I'll go first. I don't mind. I think we're gonna have a very similar
No shock
number
who I
one
have
team.
winning the division. So
No shock at all here. Although, will this be the first time they repeated in like NFC East history? Right? Isn't it
it's not
like
history,
a
but it's
curse?
like basically since we were born. It's like 20 some plus years, I want to say. But
Yeah,
yes, if we were to repeat
so
as
we're breaking that
divisional
tradition.
champs, yeah, that honestly it was something that came to my mind while doing record predictions. If I'm being honest.
Okay. It did come to my mind as well, but I think the Eagles are so unbelievably talented and run so unbelievably well that they're going to break that curse because it's not 2008 anymore, where the Cowboys make the playoffs as 9-8. I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's what it feels like. Uh, so I'm gonna have the Eagles going 13-4 this season,
We might have
and
to
they're
change
gonna.
names.
I think they're gonna be unbelievably dominant again. They might struggle early in terms of like just getting the rust off, getting the pass game under control like they did last year. Like specifically what comes to mind is like the Falcons game. Like I think there might be a couple, it might be a slow start again, especially because I'm a big like believer that the preseason like it actually does help you get a good start and it lets you be start well in September. I.e., look at the Chiefs. They practice hard. They play their starters in the preseason, and they always start the season excellently. But I think the Eagles might start a little slow, might contribute to their overall, losses in the season. But I think they're going to be an amazing team again. They're too talented not to be. Like they're unbelievably talented. It's insane what Howie Roseman does. It's
I
unbelievable.
agree. I remember saying fire him a few years ago, which is embarrassing at this point, but it's a good thing that he was able to get things turned around.
Yeah, a good man learns from learns from his mistakes.
All right, so you
He's
said
the truth.
I
He's
agree.
the
You
truth.
said 13 wins, so we'd have to change names. That's because I have us at a devastating 12-5.
Oh, man, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of an embarrassing record. No, but in all seriousness, there's just a lot of heavy hitters or what I expect to be heavy hitters next year on our schedule. And a lot of primetime games. So those things are a little bit concerning. But I also feel like while going through it, there were some games where like I tried my best not to have my bias play into it, like Eagles Bills in the late end of the season. It's one of our last two games. I think while doing the record prediction, I marked this up as a Bills win, but in my heart, I'll just always remember the comeback in the overtime game and Jalen's walk off rushing touchdowns. So I just feel like there's no way we lose it. But that's the bias side of things. So the 12-5 and winning the division, so we're right on par there.
I think the Eagles, they have like a top two wide receiver duo in the league, if not number one. They have the best O line by far, the best running back in the NFL, in my opinion. Like you don't go for 2K yards, and like even if he gets to 1,500, like that's still an amazing. Like he might not repeat as a 2K rusher, but that's fine. I think they're still gonna be elite. I think Jalen Hurts can pass the ball more and more efficiently, and I think they will rely on that this year. And I really do believe that you guys just keep bringing in young talent and fostering it, and it's just elite. Like I don't see why I don't see why they can't be a contender for the next few years, but specifically this season, I just don't. I can't see anybody else beating the Eagles right now. Now, once the season starts, and everyone things are set in stone once the season starts. Like you actually see what teams are really are. The Eagles, I just don't see them. I just don't see how they could fall off. Like it just, I don't know. The Eagles to me clear favorites in the NFC, clear favorites to win the NFC East specifically as well, and I think they're just gonna bulldoze the regular season yet again
And I mean,
and put BTA in the playoffs.
I definitely hope that that is an accurate statement. When I was referring to heavy hitters, I think I should just, not gonna give the win loss for all these games, but opening the year off against the Cowboys, like I want to mark this up as a W banner night. It's where I just feel like there's gonna be too much momentum on our side for that game not to be a win, but at the same time, kind of something you alluded to a little bit ago was like we don't play a lot in the preseason, our starters. Maybe that'll be different this year, but it's almost like I would imagine it really wouldn't be since we played longer last year. But what I did
Yeah.
want to touch on was you said that we're really good, and if I'm trying to step aside from the green in my veins, the blood, uh,
Yeah.
if I'm trying to like look from a different perspective, I guess I'd say not Saquon and those young draft picks on defense and Q and Cooper, they definitely have a big deal and contributed a lot to last year. Don't get me wrong, but the year before that, I think we were also singing a lot of the same tunes along the lines of they're a really talented roster, and we saw that ended 10-1 start to the season, but it was a
Mhm.
very very big downfall to end Jason Kelsey's career, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess
Reminds me of something.
that would definitely that came to my mind when you said it. It was just like I agree with all those points. It's just more of a situation of like, will we be able to keep it together? And when the quarterback is Jalen Hurts, I heavily believe that we will.
Yeah, I get that. And what I said it reminds me of is the 2019 Patriots coming off a Super Bowl, start 10-1, and then we just have this disaster class at the end of the season. Ultimately ended up being the last year of Brady as well. It's not similar to Jason Kelsey because obviously Brady went and broke my heart and joined the Bucks, but it's similar in the sense that this team's great. I don't see any reason why they can't win. And the NFL is just the reason it's so good is there's so much parity. So year to year, nothing's guaranteed. We have no idea in that regard. But just looking at the facts, looking at the team, looking at who's built it, looking at how great they've been since their first Super Bowl they won in 2017, I just think they're going to consistently turn out elite production, and that's why I have them going 13-4. I think they're the clear favorite. I don't see how anyone could possibly think that they wouldn't win the Super Bowl this year, barring some catastrophic injuries. And at that point, that's just a guess if that's what you're banking on.
Absolutely. I mean, we can harp on this all day, and I'd love to, considering it's the Eagles. I would just probably say, and I'm just gonna go down the list again real quick. Cowboys, that week one game it's gonna be tough. I think that we could win in big fashion, but if I'm eliminating them from the realm of what I think is tough, I would say that it's just a tough start of schedule, man. I'm Chiefs in week two, Rams in week three, and then going to Tampa. They just have our number. Broncos, I'm sure I have them being solid this year. I know you're
Yeah,
relatively,
not just yeah,
yeah, not to
yeah.
play spoiler, but relatively higher on them as well. And Vikings are on here, and they're a 14-win team last year. Not that they'll be 14 or around that this year, but it's notable. It's a notable team. And Packers, Lions, Bears, like it just goes on and on. Really, it's a tough schedule, a little bit concerning, but the talent's there. If we can build on it, losing a lot of defensive starters is a little worrisome, but these draft picks have been hitting. Howie's been doing his thing, and Jahad Campbell is hopefully the next piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, I again not to like spoil, but like Matthew Stafford has a back injury right now. Who knows if he plays that week? I agree with you overall. Like things could be much more of a toss up, but I'm just saying I think the Chiefs. I'm lower on the Chiefs than I think most people are this year. So that to me is like I see you guys winning that matchup. I am high on the Broncos. That could be. I do think is a toss up as well. But the Rams, Matthew Stafford might even play, and if he's not playing, you guys kill that team. He's the only thing. He's the only thing keeping that team afloat in my mind. That's why I think Matthew Stafford's an elite quarterback. And you look outside of that, they got like a good D line, but their secondary atrocious. They got good wide receivers, but they can't stay healthy. They got an O line that's serviceable, but Matthew Stafford is still getting killed. I know I'm going on the Rams right here, but the Eagles to me, I look at every game. I think they could have a '07 Patriots season. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they just
I don't want to
blew
cut
everybody
you
out.
off.
Or the 2015 Panthers. Like they could be 15
Yeah,
and 1. That
I
would
would
not
love to,
shock
I would
me.
love to see that. I really would. No, I wouldn't want to compare the teams to the 2015 Panthers. This team's a lot
Yeah,
better than
much
that
different,
roster.
much better.
And I'm on the Jalen Hurts side of that Cam Newton versus Jalen argument. I think Jalen's better all the time, but again, that's the bias part of things. But we'll step right past that. I was gonna say though, to cut you off a little bit, we're talking about the Rams in a light that I do agree with the Matt Stafford point. You know, any starting quarterback being out of the picture for any team is a devastating loss. But assuming he is healthy,
Yeah,
that
yeah. If he's
team,
healthy,
no,
yes.
just assuming he's healthy, that team is the team that gave us the most run for our money in the playoffs last year. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd say they got better. Would you say the same?
I
Would you
do
agree
think
with
they
that
got
point?
better. Yeah,
So at least on paper, they got better. I liked their draft. I liked a lot of their offseason additions, and I think the moving off Cooper Kupp and getting Devontae Adams is. I am not
that'd be
out
an
on
upgrade.
Adams, so I think it's an upgrade, and that's not a diss to Cooper Kupp, but more so just saying like that team really they gave me a heart attack in January, and I think they're probably going to do the same in September if I had to guess.
Yeah, as long as Matthew Stafford's back's okay. But that's obviously like I was saying before. You can't predict injury. It's just like he's sitting out right now, epidurals week to week. Like it's scary to me. Like if he is playing early season, he's not going to be even like close to 100%. And no one is in the NFL, but specifically early in the season, you're as close as you're going to be to 100% already. It could just be very tough. It could just be very tough. But we've talked about the Eagles for quite a bit now. I think we should get to our probably consensus second team in this division, but for me, it's the Commanders. I'm assuming the same for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I got it. I got the
Okay,
Commanders as well,
I have them going 10-7, which is a respectable record.
as
Wild
do
card
I.
team. I think they are a very dangerous team in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like their defense that much. I know they have a defensive head coach, and he can kind of like smooth over those gaps, but they're just not good on that side of the ball. I don't think they're going to win every one score game again. I think Jaden Daniels is an elite quarterback, but he's also an older prospect. I think he is towards the top of his ceiling, which is still, again, potentially a top five quarterback already. Like that's still elite. But I don't see him getting catastrophically better. I don't see him getting like demonstrably better. I don't see him being better than Lamar next year or something. And I think like being in a tough division with the Eagles and the Cowboys as well, ultimately, Jaden Daniels being a potentially a sophomore slump, but I think he will just continue to stay even keeled, just still be very good. I think they're gonna finish a respectable 10-7, make the playoffs. They get like a Detroit round one, they could blow the doors off Detroit again. And at that point, like you can get hot in the playoffs. They can get hot going into the playoffs. Whatever you want to say, they could be an NFC Championship team again. I'm not saying they can't be, but just regular season wise, I think 10-7, good floor, good team, playoffs. They're just not in the same category to me as the Eagles, who just have no flaws.
So I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that. Maybe not the no flaws thing, but I'm biased, so I'm always willing to admit that we're superior. Anyways, this is Commanders time. I think they had some decent defensive additions to the team this year. It's not what you want to see when it's the weak spot on your team. I'd say they added players that I feel like are pluggable players to see if they would. I should just give full on examples like Eddie Goldman at defensive tackle, Von Miller to help on the edge. Things that I'm not saying that these players are going to come in and be these huge difference makers, but if we look as compared to what they had in those spots the year before, they might be an upgrade. I do like Javon Kinlaw.
I don't
Uh,
know about that.
I,
Upgrade? They had an
Kinlaw, I
elite
like
D tackles last year. They had
with
elite
Deron Payne
tackles.
agreed, and then they still have Jerzon Newton as well, and then Kinlaw
Yeah.
being added to this. I just think it's agreed that Jonathan Allen is not here, and that's a big loss. Um, but I just said that I was just more so saying I feel like we do need to note the people that are here in
Yeah.
additions, the additions that are made, and Will Harris, the safety from the Saints, like they just have something. They brought in some pieces that could plug into that defense well. Is more so
They
what I'm
might
trying to get
fit
at.
that defense
But
more so. Yeah, I get what you're
yes,
saying.
yeah,
Schematically, yeah.
I also do have them at 10-7. And I agree with you that round one could be a tough one for them, no matter what. Will we see? a Stroud-like second year in Jaden Daniels is a big question mark for me. Their running game is another one. Brian Robinson Jr. and um, who did they draft? They drafted somebody, did they not? At the
I
running
remember
back
off the top of my
position.
head, but regardless, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a difference maker in
Yeah,
their overall
and
production.
Eckler. It's just the running game is
I'm
a
out on
big
Eckler. I'm
concern.
out on that dude. My goodness.
The running game is a bit concerning, and all of this goes with the. Or we're saying all of this. We haven't even mentioned the McLaurin contract
Yeah.
dispute going on. I mean, if he's not there, that's a big hit. I think McLaurin's much better than Debo, at least as of presently.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
to hopefully they can get that resolved. And when I say hopefully, I say that through their perspective, because hopefully for me, I don't have to play him twice a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come to the Patriots, baby. We'll take you. I promise.
All right,
Give you a
so
good contract.
we'll not too much more to say on them. Do you have anything else you wanted to add to the Commanders before I move on?
I think adding Larry Tunsil is an elite pickup. I think their offensive interior was already one of the best in the league. I really do believe so. Jaden Daniels is a mobile quarterback, and he helps the run game in that regard. And he has his escapability, his pocket presence, his calmness is like all those like this offense is going to be explosive. It's going to be elite. Debo Samuel might not be what he was in 2020, but I think he is going to be a very serviceable, very good open field player. And I think they're going to be able to get him the ball in the open field. I think this offense is going to be great. I just think their defense is going to do what holds them back. I don't think they're going to be in these like 10 to 13 ball games again. Like it's to me it'll be much more in the realm of like this team's going to have to score 27 points a game, 28 points a game just to go 10-7. Like they will be a great offense. I just their defense I think is going to hamper them, not to the degree of like the Bengals per se, but something similar. Something similar.
I understand what you're saying. I do feel like when you look at their roster, it's hard to like pinpoint somebody on defense that's a difference maker. Uh,
Yes. They
Especially
have no
without
blue chip.
Jonathan Allen at this point. Bobby Wagner would have been that player years ago, but at this
Yeah, he's
point,
just a great run fit. That's it.
so.
He's not good in coverage.
But I agree with a lot of the points you made. That said, 10-7 is not a bad place to end your season, and it probably equals a wild card spot. But I don't want to fill in your playoff picture just yet. Let's get started with the Cowboys. I
Yes.
have the Cowboys just under 500 this year. That might be coming as a hater. I'm not sure how everyone sees this team. It seems like one of the ones that is more diverse in how good the Cowboys are expected to be this season. I have them at 8-9, just under 500. But I will say that I am kind of concerned about how good their offense could be. I've heard a lot of buzz, read a lot of things, and the last time that Dak was good, yes, they had a really good running game to complement it, and will they have that this year? I would assume not. But with Pickens being there to me is a big deal. It's a really big deal because CD is that good. CeeDee Lamb is that good. And we've seen what Pickens could do without a quarterback throwing him the football. Say whatever you want to say about Dak Prescott. That's an upgrade for George Pickens. A very massive upgrade, I'd say. So that is something that I'm concerned about. I don't want to make it an Eagles topic, but I think that Q can cover them both. I'm a
Yeah.
little worried about how that offense can just really take off. And the passing game, that's when Dak's at his best, in my opinion, is just when he's just playing in. Oh man, I don't know. He can sling the rock, and when he's able to get it to more than just one star receiver, CD is fantastic. But now you add
Mhm.
George to that mix and extending their tight end. It's Ferguson, I believe.
Yeah, Ferguson, Jake
Yeah,
Ferguson.
they extended their tight end. Not who they should have been working on an extension with, but it's good to get those things
True.
handled. And yeah, what do you got them at?
I have them at 7-10. I think we're both down on them this year, but I think for a very good reason. First of all, Jerry Jones, an incompetent owner at this point, in my opinion. He needs to get these people signed. He needs to get these people signed as soon as possible. You cannot have Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, the difference between him and Joe Burrow's contract, who's number 2, is the difference between Joe Burrow's and Jalen Hurts' contract, who's number 10. That's the difference between the number one paid quarterback, the number one paid player in NFL history. It's egregious. Dak Prescott is not the number one quarterback. He's closer to 10 than he is 1. Their run game, I think, is going to be atrocious. I like Jaden Blue, but there's conflicting reports in camp saying he's looked good, but also the Cowboys are concerned with his work ethic and his ability to play like that. And that's supposed to be, in my mind, who's going to be the long term running back one. Like that,
You're not a Deuce Vaughn guy?
I'm definitely not a Deuce Vaughn guy. Uh, I think the wide receiver is elite. Their passing game will be elite, but Dak Prescott has had that year where he got injured, where he was averaging 500 passing yards a game. They had a losing record. Him passing does not equal winning, and I think that's going to be true regardless. Their defense is awful outside of Micah. Once
Is he
Dan
still
Quinn
there?
left, they felt exactly if he's still there. But once Dan Quinn left, they fell off a cliff, and they might regress more towards the median. But they're not. It doesn't matter. Like these guys cannot play clutch football. They can't play winning football, and that's all that matters. Like especially as a Cowboys fan, like I joke about the Patriots being America's team and us having 6 rings, but really you need to be able to run the ball and play defense in the playoffs, and they can't do either of those. It is imperative to me that they get a running back soon to get defensive talent, and they need to stop paying these offensive guys this insane amount of money. Like once George Pickens comes up for contract, like I don't know what he's going to command, but I don't see how they could possibly afford him. He's like, I know we're talking about the future. We should talk about just this season, but their running game to me going to be awful. Their O line, patchwork at best. They do have elite receivers in their tight end Ferguson and CD and Pickens, and Dak Prescott is probably a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. So that's not a recipe to be an awful team, but it's not gonna get you wins in January. It's just not. And they're gonna be in games or shootouts, and we've seen Dak Prescott in shootouts. It's always, it could be a close game, but he makes a mistake at the end. He doesn't have that clutch factor, or it just doesn't matter. It's just a bunch of empty calorie yards. Like Dak Prescott throwing 45 times a game or 500 receiving yards or 500 passing yards. He could be an elite fantasy quarterback. That's just not going to get you wins in the NFL. So I feel very strongly that they're going to be below 500 again, and it's just going to be that until Jerry Jones figures out how to build a competent roster or retires.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll leave it at retires.
Yeah.
So I do agree with a lot of the things you're saying. I do only have them a win above, and I was actually thinking like maybe the reason I'm a little high on them is just because, and I wouldn't personally draft anyone because I'm a hater, but I think that they could have fantasy value, and mentally for some reason sometimes I feel like that equivalates directly to
Like
wins
winning.
losses, which
Yeah.
it can, but it doesn't. It's not a direct correlation. So,
Yeah.
but I did want to kind of point out almost the opposite of the Eagles' schedule. Their schedule is not hard, I wouldn't say. And
Yeah.
it
It's
just
winnable.
doesn't have the most notable amount of teams on it. Giants twice a year, that could be 2 wins for them easily. It feels like, in my opinion. Let's just just for example, say that they split with the Eagles and win their home game. That would already put them at 3. Do you think they split with the Commanders?
I don't know. I could see them splitting with the Commanders. It's a divisional game. It's so
So
tough
I'm
between
gonna, for the
divisions,
sake of
but it's
argument here,
just
I'm gonna say that they do, and then I'm just gonna mark up the games that I do truly believe they have a really good chance of winning, which would be the game against the Jets, the game in
sure.
Carolina, hosting the Cardinals. It's just not a lot on their roster. They play the Vikings at home. Not to say that the Vikings are bad. It's just they're essentially starting a rookie quarterback, and there's a good amount of winnable games, and that's just those are the ones that I believe to be winnable. And it's the NFL. Every game is one play can really make a huge difference, even if your team is worse. So I guess at the end of the day, we'll see. The Raiders is another one that's notable that they play this next season. Who knows what they'll be fully? There's a lot of games on there that I feel, even in the shape that they're in, at least if they get an extension down with Micah, I can see them win. Can win. I can see them winning a lot of those games.
100%. At the end of the day, they're Cowboys. They have elite talent. I could be wrong a year from now, right? People had them as Super Bowl contenders 2 years ago. The roster is not that different. It just could be a coaching situation. But I don't believe in Schottenheimer. Why would I? He was just the OC last year, was he not? Like, I don't see what he's bringing culturally that's going to be different, schematically that's going to be different. There's zero reason for me to believe that this team is going to even be in playoffs, let alone win a playoff game. And I truly believe Dak Prescott, a running game, just like for every quarterback, but a good running game opens up the passing game, which lets them shine more. And they're just not going to have a good running game. And it's just going to be, in my mind, another disaster season where Dak Prescott has like gaudy stats, but it doesn't equate. It doesn't equal winning.
Yeah. No, I
And
definitely see what you're saying. It doesn't seem to be a winning formula there. I don't want to jump to a conclusion on what their coaching situation is going to be. Not saying you are.
100%,
Everything
that's
you're
a wild
saying is
card.
super reasonable. Like it's probably how the vast majority of the NFL fans feel when looking at. I mean, I honestly I couldn't tell you his name. Like it's
Brian
they,
Schottenheimer.
they be calling him Shoddy. I think like Shoddy for short.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move us on to the Giants now. This is a team that I'm like when I think about them from a roster perspective, I feel like they got a lot better than last year. But then I sit down and I try to predict their record, and I have them at 3 wins. Feels disrespectful to a team that might have the best front four in the league next year. Like might, not saying that they do, but it's they might be in that conversation. Malik Neighbors is fantastic, and I don't think that the other receivers around him are nearly as good, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
scoff
Wanda
at.
Robinson, yeah,
Yeah,
they're good. Jalen
Wandale and
Hyatt, these are good
Hyatt and
pieces.
they re-signed Slayton, right? Am I
Yeah.
am I correct on that? I think they got him back under contract. So they have a lot of pieces that I like, and I do think Russ is an upgrade from Daniel Jones. I don't know how much of an
Undoubtedly.
upgrade. It's just an upgrade.
Mm.
So I think that with all those things said, I just feel like 3 wins feels disrespectful, but it's it's kind of just what when I sit down, I just don't think that they have a lot of favorable matchups, and I don't mean from team to team. I mean from like positional standpoint. Like I don't know how many games they're gonna go into next year where they have the upper hand at anything other than that front four.
Yeah. Or wide receiver. Just
Wide receiver one, I guess.
yeah. But core, yeah. Passing attack as a whole. I agree. I'm very low on the Giants as well. I'm going 2-15. Very low on the Giants. I think they're gonna have the number one overall pick. That's how low I am on them. But like you're saying, they're a team that can have the number one overall pick, but have insanely bright spots to their roster. It's weird. They could surprise the crowd. I think they could go 9-8 or something crazy. Like you're right, Russ is a definite upgrade. I think Brian Daboll is a good offensive mind and a good head coach. I still haven't changed in that. I think their defensive line probably will be the best in the league.
I'm
They
biased.
brought in a bunch. They brought in a bunch of secondary help. I think Okereke is actually a very good linebacker as well. He went stupid against the Pats like 2 years ago, so maybe that's just like a
No,
every time I watch him, this guy's amazing. But
I
I think
gotta
their
see him twice
defense
a year. I
is
think he's good.
solid. Yeah, I think he's very. I think their defense could be. That's gonna be the bright spot to me. I just don't think Russ, even though he's better than Daniel Jones, I don't think he's that good. I don't really like I like Cam Scatterboo, but I don't like Cam Scatterboo if that makes sense. Like he's awesome. He's like a feel good story, but I don't know if it's going to translate to him being a good NFL running back. Like if in that regard, I
Yeah, I
do
think they
like
have a lot of
Tyron Tracy,
prospects.
but he's a converted wide receiver to running back. I just I don't see them having like this insanely good run game, which I think Russ needs to help support him and play action pass, all that stuff. I think he needs that. Their offensive line to me is again, it's like patchwork at best. Like it's and they can't stay healthy. They do have an elite tackle, and I believe his name's Andrews, right?
Uh, Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas is. Sorry,
Yeah.
I knew it was something like that. I couldn't think of it off the top of my head. He's very good. He just can't stay healthy. I'm worried about this team being able to be in close games or like Brian Dayball feeling that pressure from the ownership. Like I think they can crash and burn, and ultimately that's what I have them doing, going 2-15. I think their schedule is like you were saying, they don't really match up well against anybody,
Yeah, I just
but
don't think
they
they
have a
go into
lot
any
of
game.
good pieces. They have it's weird. Like the Titans last year, there's not a single thing about that team I like. I like a lot about the Giants. So it's weird. Like I could definitely see them having being much better, but I just having to be practical and having to like go week by week and choosing which team to beat which team, they're always to me always on the losing end.
And
And
I
the
fully
schedule
agree. I
reflects.
fully agree. I quickly just re-glanced through their schedule just to I like to make sure that I'm saying things that I truly believe, and I think that there's only one game on their schedule that I would say they 100% have the better. Actually, I can't even say 100%, but that I would believe going into this year. that they have the better quarterback, and that's against the Saints. But outside of that, I think there might be two question marks on how you feel about Geno. I think we both agree Geno is much better, and then JJ McCarthy. So it's 3 games. I give you 3 games that are toss-ups on who the best quarterback in that one is, and I truly believe that the Saints is the only one I genuinely give Russ the edge for. So,
Yeah.
and that's just because we don't know who they're rolling out there. They drafted the guy in the second round, Tyler Show,
Yeah.
something of that sort, and I don't know much about him,
Remarkable.
so I don't want to just automatically rule him out as an NFL caliber quarterback. But Russ is that's it's probably the only game he's the best quarterback in on the field, and that's if he's even the best quarterback on his team. You said something about pressure for Dayball, and I think that's a good point. If that team's not winning a lot by the bye week, are we talking about a QB change, and is that even helpful? Like, isn't Jackson Dart's his best friend right now is sitting and waiting, in my opinion. Like that's
Yeah, let him develop.
best case scenario is what I was trying to say for him is just yeah, like you're saying, development and just waiting a year. And I don't think Russ is the greatest quarterback to sit behind, but that's kind of the issue. Is he's just going to be thrown to the fire if not. And
Yeah, it's it's not gonna be good.
yeah, so 3 wins. While I do feel it could be disrespectful, that defense is like you were saying, it's going to be a bright spot no matter what. Even if it's not the best in the league, it's just going to be good.
They could be
They
getting
can
blown out
they can
because their
control
offense is so
games.
bad. But
Like
yes, they
they
could.
might be able to control games if they really were to focus. I mean, we're talking about an NFL team, and they're going to know their strengths and their weaknesses. So if they game plan correctly, they play good defense and they control the clock and don't make mistakes. Like if Russ can just protect the football, well, the team
But
as
you
a
will
whole,
do.
but Russ protects the football and they run the ball a lot. They could win defensively. I just don't. I don't know if they will,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be a tough season for them. But I can definitely see a lot of bright spots on their roster. A lot of people I'm kind of jealous are there, and by a lot of people I
Hmm.
mean Abdul Carter and Malik Neighbors.
I agree.
So
Level of
they're
Campbell, but Dula Carter was my wet dream for the draft for sure. For sure. I agree, but I'm more inclined to think that a team can win those tough games when that's their mindset. When they got a defensive minded head coach, I think that's where like that ruggedness, that edge comes into play. To me, I like Brian Dayball. I think he's a good head coach, but he's more of a Mike McDaniels to me in the sense that it's like they're not soft, but they're not tough either. They they just give up. It feels like their players give up on them. Like I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say other than that. And they could give up so early on Dayball this year. He could be 4 games in, and it just implodes.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you kind of just reminded me of something. And I don't even know if this happened under Dable or not. But do you remember when they did that weird like took like a few knees in like
Hmm.
a game? I don't even remember who they were playing against. I just remember like I remember seeing it on social medias and
They
being informed.
intentionally
It's like
lost, right?
I don't
Hmm.
even know if it was like an intentional loss, but it was just a weird situation. They were like just it was weird. Sorry, it was you just reminded me of that when you said like they give up, and I was kind of like yeah, I guess I kind of do see it. I never really put that like two and two together, but yeah.
Hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, continue.
They're just no. That was the end of my point. Like you came in perfectly. That was they're just a team that to me just they're not mentally tough. They're not mentally fit enough, regardless of like how much better the defense is and how much better their offense is. They just have that loser mentality to me around them, and that's going to be reflected in their team this year. And I know that's very harsh. Like I said, they could surprise me. Dayball could light a fire. This could light a fire under them,
I
and
feel
they
like it's
could
safe to.
come out the gate strong. But I just don't see that happening. Like if I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that they're gonna have a
I
losing season.
bet,
I
bet
bet
the
they're
under.
gonna. I'm
Whatever the
hitting
win
under
total
on every
is,
game. Yep,
under.
and I'm
Yeah,
number one overall pick is what I think is in their future.
which is
Arch
also funny
Manning,
though.
welcome to New York.
It's which is yeah. I guess we'll see, right? But I'm gonna book that. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down. All right. It's weird because it almost feels like there's such a I don't want to say wild card since that's a term for like the playoffs, but you know what I mean. It's just
Yeah,
they're kind of unpredictable, and hopefully, for Giants fans' sakes, we're wrong, and they're not this bad. I don't see how they win. If I'm being as fair as I possibly can, I can't see this team winning more than 5 games.
yeah. No, I
That's
agree. I think
just
that
that
is
feels
their
weird.
ceiling, but it everything's possible in the NFL. They could be a playoff team. Like I don't think that's like the Russ with the Steelers was a playoff team. That could be the formula they're rocking out with this year. I'm not gonna lie. I just think that's just not what's gonna happen. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I just wouldn't pick that to happen. And
I would say the irony of what you just said was I said if they protect the football, run the ball, and rely on their defense,
mm-hmm,
they can win games. I mean, that's like the Steelers'
most Steeler
forte.
thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's. I guess we'll wrap it up with just re-going through it real quick. We have in consensus format down the list. Not exact
Mm,
records, but in
not
order.
exact records, but very close, very similar.
Eagles at the top, winning the division. Meaning, if we were to start the playoff bracket, they would already have edged themselves into that playoff. Just they win the division. They're in it. Commanders second. 10-7 for both of us. We both have them winning 10 games. I mean, I can see them winning more. Don't get me wrong, but I think walking away with 10 wins is going to
I'm
get you a lot
comfortable with
spot in
10.
the NFC.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any reason to feel as if this is downplaying Jaden Daniels or anybody around them. Cowboys, I have them at 8-9. You have them at 7 wins. Yeah,
7 and 10. Yeah.
just about the same. And then Giants 3. I got them at 3 wins. You have them at 2 wins. Either way, we're probably looking at the team that picks first next year, like you're saying. So I would almost guarantee they pick top 3. So
Real quick, do you have the Eagles splitting with the Cowboys and Giants, like both?
no, I not both. No, I
Okay.
do think
Either
I
one.
have a Cowboy split. Yeah,
Okay.
I just think that the Cowboys know how to like. It's almost like because the game has so much buzz around it. Like Philly, we hate them, man. I hate them.
Hmm.
It's
It goes both ways for sure.
it's almost like we're so much. I feel it's weird because if we were ever to have a season where we were super bad, if we won 2 games and they were just both against Dallas, that would be like a redeeming thing for me. Not to say I ever want to see my team go 2-15, but
Yeah.
if we were 2-15, but I was like, hey, well, we beat Dallas twice. I don't care if they won. I don't care if their record was the exact flip of ours and it was 15-2. I'm still gonna talk. I'm still
You
gonna
feel good about
talk
it.
to the Cowboys
Yeah.
fans. I'm gonna talk some type of way. But no, I do. I had them splitting with I did have them splitting with the Cowboys and Commanders, and I believe
Yeah.
the Bills, Chiefs, and Buccaneers were the other 3 wins. I don't have it written down next to me, or
Yeah.
losses.
Losses, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that might have been what it is, but I don't want to lose to the Chiefs. I don't want to lose at all.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna switch my
Yeah.
prediction to undefeated.
Yeah. That's a good way to go. Now I was just curious because our Commanders are both 10 and 7, but the difference between every other team in this division is by one. Like you have the Eagles losing by one more, and you have the Cowboys and the Giants going up one more win. So I was just curious if like that was potentially the difference, but regardless, we seem to be lockstep in where we think this division ends up.
Yeah.
That's the NFC East, guys.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
let's dive right into the AFC East now. I think we should have you started for the NFC, so I'll go ahead and do the AFC side of things. No shocker here, who I have winning the division. At least I don't believe it to be a shocker. I have the Bills at 12-5, being the top of the AFC East. I feel good about this Bills team this year. I feel strongly about them every year, like in a good way. I think that Josh Allen is just the second best quarterback in the league, in my opinion, and I do think that that is not consensus. So that's why I do think that that is an opinion based thing. And for me, Josh would be number 2. He's fantastic. I do worry about who he's throwing to, and how much skill is surrounding him is never been a super lot. I guess at the skill positions with the wide receiver running back, but I'm a James Cook fan.
It's a lot of good people.
Yeah, it's just never anything fantastic outside of I guess Diggs in the earlier times. But yeah, 12-5. What do you have?
I'm 12 as 5. I have them 12 and 5 as well. It's just their division to win until something else happens. As much as that hurts me to say, it's the Bills' time. Josh Allen is, if he's not 2, he's 3, and that's undebatable, like for sure, undoubtedly. He's an offensive engine within himself. Doug McDermott is a good head coach who is like he's got a great defensive mind. He unfortunately might have to go for something to change if they can't get over the hump this year potentially. But I think he's a good quality coach. Their defense, now it's not a bunch of like people that are respected or name brands, but they have all these underrated like great players. Like I don't know what it is. They just foster this talent. They just draft and they're just so good at almost like not Howie Roseman level, not even close, but they just keep it competent. They get these people, they get on them low, and they elevate them or they draft them and develop them, but they're just an elite defense year in and year out. Maybe not statistically, but when it comes to the playoffs, I feel like they've been good. They let up a lot of points though. I guess that's the number one, trademark of a good defense. But I like their defense. I feel confident in it. And Josh Allen, I mean, he's amazing. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen play,
Yeah.
and that hurts. It really hurts because that's in my division. But I got 20 years of Tom Brady. I think I can deal with 10 to 15 of Josh Allen.
Well, yeah, but there's also a little bit more context to it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's from Fresno. Josh,
He's from
right?
there. He wanted to go to Fresno State.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so but you have like a little bit more of a
Connection to him.
yeah,
Wearing
just
17, one of my favorite numbers.
things like that. But going into their draft too, I think that they had a. I mean, I liked their round one pick, getting a corner, Maxwell Harrison. Did I say that correctly? I
Yeah,
think adding him and he ran like a 4.3 40 at the combine. I mean, this dude's fast. He's not. I wouldn't say he's got the largest frame at corner, but he's not a small corner. At least I wouldn't characterize him as a small corner. So I do think that that was a really, really solid first round pick. Round two, they also went defensively with TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. So, adding to the defense is always going to be
good players.
yeah, it's always going to be a good thing. And then I think they got an edge in the third round that you were a fan of going into it. We always talk a lot of draft back and forth, like who my team want, or who I want, who you want, who you think my team should get, who I think your team should get. So I think we talked about Landon Jackson somewhere in there, who was the third round pick to go to Buffalo.
Yeah, he beat Bo Campbell bad in
So
the Senior Bowl.
yeah, so we're talking about they went like four straight defensive picks, if I'm maybe more. They might have gone like all defense. I don't remember
Yeah.
their draft
Plus
off
the
the top of
Bosa
my
brother.
head. I don't think they went all defense, but I do think they went like 4 or 5 rounds straight of defense. And yes, Joey Bosa is definitely something that needs to be mentioned. I'm not sure what he brings to a team at this point, but his name has definitely
Some name value.
yeah, for sure. They also they also added Larry Ogunjobi at the in the interior of the line, and
Like that pickup.
Derek Forrest, the safety. I'm a fan of that one as well. That like
Mhm.
pickup wise, I think he was pretty solid. And then Dane Jackson. So they got a lot more. I don't want to say healthy, but they got bodies at the defensive back position, and just on the defense in general. So excited to see what that is on offense. If you have Josh Allen, you have a really strong foundation.
You have a top
And
10 offense.
and again, I'm a James Cook guy. I like James Cook. So
He better sign though. He's holding out. He's holding in right now.
which
They
I'm
gotta
not.
get it. They gotta get it figured out.
Yeah, I'm not fully up to date on the James Cook contract situation or how that's gonna pan out. That said, I am a fan. I do expect good things from him. I think he's a really well rounded, versatile running back, and those are just the guys that I like to watch. So 12 and
Mhm.
5, top of that division. I think we should slide down to team two.
The
in
greatest
division.
franchise of all time.
So I think we are gonna have we're gonna be in agreement on this who we have in second place, but
Mhm.
being your best friend for this long, I now have an affinity for the Patriots. So I have them at 10-7, and I feel like that is
Very
pretty.
respectable.
I was gonna say. I think that's a very respectable. I mean, we have them where the commies are, and the Commanders where, they were in the NFC Championship a year ago. So not bad company. 10-7 mostly because I'm a Drake May believer. I really am. I liked Jaden coming out of college, but the second he was drafted to a division rival, I had to flip how I felt about those guys, and I really like what I see from Drake. And I've told you this before. I think this guy is, I think this guy is like the next Josh Allen. I think that's his play style. I think he can be a
I
big,
hope.
strong thrower of the football, but also an aggressive, elusive running quarterback. So I think he's fantastic. I think a lot of your guys' additions are great. Eagles fans are going to agree with me when I tell you that you have a dog in Milton Williams. We don't have to talk about it from a contract standpoint, but just from raw talent and a player on the field, he's fantastic. So that's a big pickup, and who knows what Diggs will be. Kind of surprised where he's at in the healing factor of the injury he sustained last year, but
Sure.
I think if Diggs can just do something similar for Drake May that he was able to do for Josh Allen, and just it's almost like a confidence builder. You get a guy that's talented around
Yeah.
you, like Diggs is talented. I think we get everyone to
Safety
still agree that
blanket.
he still has a lot of talent, and Matt Collins is also brought over, and he's also worked with Josh Allen. So
Elite red zone threat.
we
Mhm.
will see. We'll see what this team really is. But you guys have always had a strong defensive foundation, and I know that that mostly was a Belichick uh, thing. But Vrabel is he's not going to let the defense be soft. So I'll let
Yeah,
you
he
get
won't.
started. These are your guys, and I think you're going to be a lot more knowledgeable on them. So
Yeah.
let's hear what you got on
Thank you.
that and why.
Okay. Okay. 10-7, very respectable. I think they could go 8-9, 9-8 for sure. Like that's on the table. Like that's still double their win total from last year. I'd be so grateful for that. I have them going 11-6 though, regardless of saying all that, because I think they will be in a very good team. I think Christian Gonzalez, top three cornerback in the NFL currently. I think Carlton Davis is a good cornerback too, if he can stay healthy. That's a question for both of them right now. They're both injured, but I have faith that even if they are injured, we'll figure it out. That's the one thing Vrabel has under him. He can plug and play, replace people, and figure things out. Look at the Texans or the Titans teams from a few years ago, right? Then they have like it was like an insane amount of injuries, and they still were the one seed in the AFC. Like it was unprecedented. I've never seen anything like that. And so I believe in Mike Vrabel's ability. Like hands down, amazing coach. I'm already convinced. I'm seeing things with rose-colored glasses. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's amazing. Drake May, he had so many bright spots on a team with nothing last year that I just don't see how he can't be a good quarterback. Again, I'm ultra positive about the Patriots, but I gotta be. Kyle Williams, third round, best collegiate receiver against man coverage. Like that's gonna translate to the NFL. All teams were doing to us last year were running man coverage exclusively on third down, bagging us up. It was awful to watch. Diggs, he's going to be a guy on 3rd and 8 who's going to beat man coverage and can convert the chains. That's all I need him to be. I don't need him to be 1,400 yards, 17 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 110 catches. That would be amazing. But I just need somebody who's going to convert third downs, who's going to be a chain mover, and that's what Diggs is to me. Pop Douglas, unguardable in the slot. McDaniels loves to focus on slot receivers, and I think Pop Douglas is going to break out on the scene and be one of the best slot receivers in the league this year. Matt Collins, 6'4 receiver. We don't have that on the roster. We haven't had that on the roster. He's going to be an amazing red zone threat. He's going to be a tall, go get it receiver. We need that. Kayshon Boutte, I expect him to make the roster. He's been very good as well. Very physical X receiver. We need that. And Travion Henderson, I think, can be special at the running back position. He might be James White on steroids, and I'm so excited to see that. The offensive line, my God, we go as that offensive line goes. That thing could be awful. It could be egregious again. But I'm very confident in Jared Wilson, who looks like he's going to be the starting left guard instead of center. I thought he was going to be the center, but he's going to be left guard for us. Will Campbell, I believe in. I have to believe in him. I have to have faith. Jared Bradbury, I'm not convinced. That he might be a black hole for this season, but we'll figure that out later. I'm a very big fan of Mike Onwenu, and Morgan Moses needs to stay healthy. But like I was telling you last year, I know these people aren't privy to it, but I said I wanted 4 new starters in the offensive line. We got 4 new starters. That's all I can ask for in this offseason. I think we're going to be a top 10 defense, a top 15 offense. We're going to play tough games. We're going to win close games, and we're going to grind it out. And we're going to be there in January, in my opinion, as a playoff team.
And this is kind of putting you on the spot, and I'm just curious how you look at this. Would you guys say, or would you say that you guys had the best offseason from the perspective of like just kind of including everything, coaching
Mm.
being a big thing, draft obviously, and then off-season additions. You guys were able to spend a lot more money than most teams are, which was a good thing this year. And I do agree with you that you guys' draft was very solid. I think round one, when you take someone top 5, you have to believe in them. It doesn't matter. Like it is,
Yeah, they
you
have to be
have
a blue
to.
chip
I
talent.
mean, when you take anyone ever, when you're a fan of a team, like you're gonna have to try to believe in them. You got to invest something, some type of belief, some type of faith. So I guess yeah, just putting you on the spot. But would you say that the Patriots had the best offseason when you're just looking at everything, full picture?
Best, that's hard to come off the top of my head. A plus, I would say so. Undoubtedly. A plus. The team that comes to mind for me when it comes to this offseason having one of the best ones, it might be the Bears. I mean, getting Ben Johnson, who I think was either the first or second best head coach in this cycle, getting those offensive line upgrades, like that's no joke whatsoever. Caleb Williams is in the same boat as Drake May. Didn't have a stellar season last year, but had very bright spots. they obviously have like these great receivers. That doesn't count this offseason, but I think they got much better on the defense side of the ball. I think they got much better at O line, and I think they have an insanely good head coach upgrade. So they might be the number one, but it's close to the Patriots. And regardless, I think we're going to be on the right direction. And I think something this is coming to my mind now because I don't know, it just popped up with the strength of schedule. That's something I didn't harp on. We are going to have the second easiest schedule in the NFL. With all these additions, I think it is very much in the ballpark of winning 11 games and going to the playoffs. Now we might get bulldozed by like a Kansas City Chiefs or something in the first round. Don't get me wrong, but at this point, having not been in the playoffs in 4 years or something like that, like I'll take anything at this point. And being a Patriots fan, I was spoiled my whole life. Like I never thought I would be a person who's like, let me just see a playoff team. But at this point, that's all I'm asking for, and that's all I want. That's all I can ask for in the first year of Mike Vrabel and Drake May.
All right, well, I guess we're gonna go ahead and move on to team
Our
number three.
third team.
All right, so we're gonna move on to. I'm assuming who we both have in third place, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But I have the Dolphins in third place in the AFC
Same.
East at 8 and 9. I would say that this of teams discussed today, of teams that we've gone through today, this was the hardest one for me to really navigate, just because I really feel like there are a lot of question marks on this roster, and it's from top down almost. Dolphins, the situation with Tua, it's his injuries, the concussions, and now the current situation with Tyreek and all of the drama that kind of surrounds Tyreek Hill. There's too much to really dive into. Is their coach even safe? Like, is he on the hot seat? I don't know. Or am I a fan even? I'm not sure. Defensively, what's to like? I guess there's a lot of question marks around this team, but there's also a lot of talent. So I have them winning 8 games, losing 9, and that's not gonna make the playoffs. I can kind of ruin that one for you. So
Definitely not making the playoffs. Fins down. They're not up. They'll never be up again. No, okay, I'm being a hater. But the Dolphins, I have them going 7-10, so we're pretty much lock and step in there again. But they have an entire new starting secondary this year. Not a single person is returning, or at least they weren't a starter last year. And they have an offense that is very time and precision oriented. It's not something that they can on the fly, like, oh, it's very scheme dependent. These players are very scheme dependent. You get an injury to Tyreek or Jalen Waddle, which it seems like always happens, even if it's a week or two. The offense completely shuts down. And I think you can almost bake that in with how these players are built. Josh McDaniels. Oh my gosh, Mike McDaniels. He's cool. I actually like him like as a personality, but I don't think he's a good head coach. And I think he is going to be on the hot seat if he's not already on the hot seat. And when you're an offensive-minded head coach, who again, like same with Dayball, doesn't command the respect of his players, doesn't have any toughness in his body, whole new secondary, like an entire new starting secondary group, this team can be very bad this year. Now they could also be, they could be better than the Patriots. I'm not disregarding them. They could make the playoffs, but they'll just get waxed round one to a team that's, below 50 degrees. Like you're gonna go somewhere. It's the AFC, it's the AFC. They're gonna go to like a Cincinnati. They're gonna go to a Baltimore. They're gonna go somewhere where it's gonna be cold. And what's Tua gonna do? He's gonna choke. He's gonna freeze, as he always does. But to me, this team, it's just not good. It feels like they're grasping at straws that just aren't there. Like they had their chance 2 years ago to be a good team, establish culture, and they blew it. They need a reset, a hard reset. They need to trade Tyreek Hill. Keep Jalen Waddle. He's elite. I don't think Tua is that good, but you paid him. You got to keep him. And they got to get somebody in there, not Brian Flores, but someone like Brian Flores. They need to have an identity. They can't just be this team that's like, oh, we got a bunch of Ferraris. We're fun. We're fast. Like
Brian
that
Flores
doesn't work
did
in the
not
NFL.
work out in Miami.
No, he didn't. I'm not saying he did. I said
I know. I'm just saying it was like to say his name was a bit funny.
No, but they had gone from like the worst record in the NFL that year to like literally winning the playoff game or going to the playoffs at least. and he completely flipped their culture around. They won these tough games. Like the players had an edge to them that I had never seen in my life, and that's not a winning culture per se, like or like a winning formula in today's NFL. But it's much more consistent and predictable than a Mike McDaniel's offense with Tua and Tyreek. Like those dudes were hanging up 50, and then they were dropping five. Like the ups and downs are so egregious. It's not okay. Like you need to be more consistent as an NFL team. You have to have an identity, and they just don't have one.
Yeah, I could get behind a lot of what you just said. But I would like to piggyback off a couple things and also throw in a couple things that we hadn't mentioned yet, like the Jalen Ramsey trade. Minka is a, I mean, I like Minka more than I like
He's
Jalen
good.
Ramsey at this point.
Great.
So yes, he's new, but he's old new for Miami.
Yeah.
So him
Good thing job.
Mike Hilton, Jack Jones, like, and not to say that they'll plug in and immediately be great or even good. Uh, but at least I guess they're rolling the dice. You're not just like having these holes and you're not trying to address them. So hopefully they get something right for their sake, but not for yours. But I agree with almost everything else you said. I do. We've talked about this off air that I do think that Tyreek will be traded by the deadline this year. I think it's almost like it's just already set in stone. I just feel like they just need to kind of rip that band-aid off.
Yeah, they're just looking to see how things are gonna play out. Like, oh, can they like recover from the incident last year? But I think the answer is no. I don't. I just they're not a disciplined team, and I know this is like I have roots in the Patriots system. Like I had Bill Belichick my whole life, but you need to be a disciplined, tough nosed team. You can't be soft. You cannot be a soft team and win in the playoffs. Like it's just not. That's not. It can't happen. I can't even remember a team that's soft that's even won a playoff game in recent years. Like uh, the Cowboys, they're soft. They never win a playoff game, right? The Chargers, they were soft with was it Brandon Staley? They choked egregiously. Like you can't be a soft team. You can't be weak, and that's what the Dolphins are. And at the end of the day, if you're not trying to win in the NFL, you're not trying to get at least playoff wins, if not championships. Then what's the point of keeping mediocrity around?
Yeah, I can. I definitely see what you're saying. There are definitely some noticeable people or notable people that the players that they were able to add. They the backup quarterback spot is always something that needs to be talked about when talking about the Dolphins, and it's not supposed to be a shot at Tua. It's just more of the world of
That's
realism.
true.
Like you have to talk about it, and I mean Zach Wilson is an interesting backup. Is I guess how I'll say that. I don't want to sit here and build this like facade that I think he's better than Tua or anything. I just think that it's he's a notable name as far as backups go, at least. They also added the guard James Daniels. I believe he's from Pittsburgh. Is it
I think
Pittsburgh?
so.
So he's pretty solid, and he signed there for a 3 year deal. They he's not the only offensive lineman that they attempted to bring in. But outside of like them and probably I'd say Willie Gay Jr. I don't know if
I like Jordan Brooks. He's a good linebacker as well.
so. Well, no, I was saying as far as additions go,
Oh, okay.
that's what I was trying to say. Was I just don't feel like they did a whole lot of things in the offseason that were I don't want to say head turning because that's more of a negative thing, but just not a lot outside of the Jalen Ramsey trade that was something to be excited about, or
I do like the
maybe.
guard out of Arizona though. I will say that I do like the guard that drafted out of Arizona. Like that is a plus addition to me. I don't want to skip over that. Like I agree.
And I don't think this is necessarily worth conversation, but something to mention is their trade for Darren Waller, just for him to go right back on an injured reserve list. If I remember correctly,
Yeah.
that was kind of a
Jono had an amazing year last year with them. I just don't see why they don't run that back. To be honest.
yeah, it was definitely a weird one, but not a team for me that's just nothing really pops out about them other than their receiving core, and they're flashy, they're fast, right? That's
Mhm.
I guess their running back is something we didn't mention in HN.
He's good,
Yeah,
but again, same problem as
it's
the
almost
receivers.
yeah,
Undersized,
and
injury
it
prone.
leads to yeah, especially soft tissue stuff.
Yeah.
And those are things that just carry over throughout a season. They bang you, you get banged up, and it definitely has an impact on how they play. So yeah, I have them at 8 and 9. You have them at 7 wins. I can see them being the team two, or being the second team in the division. I can also see them. Honestly, this one might not be a popular opinion, but I can see them being last. That's just a little bit of Justin Fields love. So while I'm on the
Hmm.
subject, I'll move on to the Jets.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't have the Jets in third place. I do have them last. I have them winning 5 games this year under new regime. I think there are a lot of bright spots here. It's kind of similar. Both New York teams kind of in a similar boat where it's like I like a lot of things. There are a lot of bright spots, and at least you can pinpoint those. Like we're not talking about the Saints today, but I can't tell you what a bright spot for them would be really. Um, so, but Jets, I I like Fields. I don't necessarily think I like him long term, but I'm a fan. I want to believe in him. He has the play style of it's like a Madden play style. It's interesting. It's fun to watch, but it's not necessarily a winning formula. I like their running backs. Braylon is good, and so is Brees and Garrett Wilson with the extension. That's good news. And Sauce Gardner, they got a lot of bright spots, and I think that they also got a. I don't want to say a good coach, but a coach upgrade. So,
Oh, yeah.
Aaron
At least
Glenn,
from the interim.
correct?
At least from the interim. Yeah. At least from
So,
the interim.
yeah. So big, a lot of big things, and probably the biggest thing they did was cut ties with Aaron Rodgers. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
5 wins feels a bit low. It also feels a bit reasonable. It's a relatively tough division. I think it's going to be a tough division this year. It might not be looked at going in that way, but when you have the Bills who are like guaranteed 10 plus wins, I feel like at this point,
Mhm.
and I have the Patriots winning 10 plus, and the Dolphins. I mean, I feel like if I were to say 10-7, like not to say you'd agree with me, but I don't think you would have thought I was insane. So
That's
we're
not the
talking
wrong
about, yeah.
possibility.
So if we're talking about 3 teams that can win double digit games, I think it's fair to say that that division's going to be tougher than most people are going to expect. So yes, rounding out the AFC East, I do have the Jets with 5 wins.
I have the Jets going 3-14. Very harsh. I agree. I just think I'm not gonna bank on Justin Fields. I don't have an affinity for him or anything like that. I think a quarterback that's on his third team. There's a reason he's on his third team. Um, Garrett Wilson I think has the potential to be like a top 10 receiver this year, but he's on his second contract, or he has a second contract now, and it still feels like we're going. Well, he can be. He has the talent to be. What if this, that, the third? Okay, when is he gonna actually do it? Sauce Gardner had a down year last year, but I actually do think he will bounce back. I think he is a very elite corner. I think that was an outlier. But again, they lost DJ Reed. All they seem to have done to me, like in the biggest spots, is just lose talent. People leaving. They did resign Sherwood, who I thought was actually going to be a Patriot. I was very excited for that, but they re-signed him, unfortunately for me. Their D line, it's good, but it's not as amazing as it feels like it should be. And that might be partly because of injuries, but and Sala getting fired midway through the season, which was a mistake. That interim head coach was a joke. And Aaron Glenn, I think, is actually going to be a good head coach. He's the exact opposite of a Dayball and Mike McDaniels, like I was saying. I feel like he is going to bring that tough nose, win through defense, play hard, play close, and just have a good edge to you. I think
It's
he
who
will bring
Miami
that.
should have gotten, according to
It's
you.
yeah. Shoot, maybe, but I do think he fits the Jets well. I do think that's the right head coach. I do think they're gonna have like a very good building block from this season onwards. Like I liked their draft last year. Like they got a very good young O line. I like Garrett Wilson. I like Sauce Gardner, very young, under contract early. Like they could be good. Yeah, they could be good quickly. I'm just not banking on it. They have a tough schedule. They're not they're not elite at any position outside of like cornerback one, and that's if he can comes back to form.
I mean, I
But
might disagree with you on that point a little bit, but nothing insane. I just think that I'd
mm,
have to really. That's why I said might is just because I don't know where I'd rank these players. I agree with you on Garrett Wilson. I do feel like we talk about Garrett Wilson at this point as a what if more than a what has he done. So
mm,
maybe you are right at that point. I do think he's better than a lot of wide receiver ones, but I'd have to look at it to tell you exactly where I think he ranks, and I don't think he's top 10. So if I'm being honest, I guess I would have been wrong on that point. But running back, maybe Brees. He's pretty good,
Yeah, they're going
and
by committee
interior
though.
D line. I do think that Quinnen is one of the best, if not the best, interior defensive lineman in the league.
Mm.
No, he's not the best, but he's definitely up there. He's
He's
definitely up
good.
there.
He has no one next to him on the interior D line, and they just double team him. He was a nothing burger last year. He is super good, but he needs help. He needs help.
I
He
think the
needs
Jets,
schematic helps, or
and I do
I
agree
don't know
with you
what
on
it
this
is.
one, but I do think that the Jets need a little bit more time. Uh,
Mm.
the contract with Fields, is it a 3-year deal?
I think it's a 2 year, $20 million deal.
It's just nothing. It's nothing insane. I feel like it was a
Yeah,
little more
it's
than
it's a
that.
good
But it's
flyer. I like the
yeah.
deal.
I like the price tag that the quarterback comes with, but more so than that, the what it opens up for you to do with the rest of your your finances. And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
they've done anything with him, but what you can do. So if he shows you something this year and they win 5-6 games, but it's like not an obvious like quarterback issue, which it may
Mm.
be. I'm not saying it won't be, but if it's not, you have room to work going forward. I do think the deal is. I don't think it's a 2 year 20 million, but that sounds
Might
right.
be a
Though.
2 year
Anyways,
40.
regardless, yeah,
Might be 20
yeah, I
per,
think it's
but
20 per regardless. Point stands being that if he can just be, I mean, if he could, he doesn't have to play super well to be on par with that contract for his position. 20 million is nothing to scoff at. Don't get me wrong, but when you said Jalen was 10 now, and off the top of my head, he's
yeah.
like around the $52 million annual mark. So that's, I mean, like we're talking about your price tag it's a good spot to be at. I think that they have things to look forward to, and Glenn's a good getting Glenn was a good start. I do think that he has the ability to build a culture there that they need. They've lacked for a while, and
Mm.
Aaron Rodgers
Just the Sanchez.
was just really a very poisonous addition to the. I
Yeah.
don't. It's weird because we don't have to dive fully into Aaron Rodgers, but he's talked about so highly from teammates, but so negatively from media.
Media.
It's just hard to really pinpoint who he is, and it's not like we've met him, so it's hard for me to really know.
Mm.
But, I mean, they flipped quarterbacks they swapped quarterbacks with the Steelers, kind of.
Mm.
And the Steelers, according to what that report said, they wanted to get Fields back over Aaron Rodgers. Not sure if what the validity to that point was, or if it's true. But I just felt like it was something notable to
It's
say.
notable. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's notable.
and I just feel like they could be fun to watch. A fun to watch, scrappy team that might surprise and win a few games that you don't think they should win. It feels like almost like they might be the team that ends up being a trap game for a better football team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what they were like 2 years ago. I remember the Bills coming in. Obviously the Aaron Rodgers won that. Like that wasn't necessarily a
You don't have
trap
to say
game,
that.
but they won
You don't
that.
have to say
But
that.
but I mean, even before that, where with the no, I'm not talking about the Eagles. Yeah, that wasn't on top of my head. I meant the Bills. That game where like Sauce Gardner had like 2 picks and Josh Allen looked like a deer in headlights, and they won. Like they're a team that really can be a trap. They could win 5 games this year for sure. Like
But
I,
those
I
five
just don't
wins
know at this
beat
point.
interesting teams too, though. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like not just beating
I
bottom
agree.
feeders. That's kind of what I was getting at. Not saying that this will equivalent to being around 500 or anything like that, but I definitely see them beating teams that we wouldn't expect them to beat this year.
I think they're a year early.
Yeah,
That's just it. I think
yeah.
that's it. I think they will be a good team next year. I just
I
think
think
it's a year early.
I don't even want to say year early. Not that I disagree, but I would say it's a great start for a new. I feel like they're getting things right, and coach is a big deal. Quarterback price tag's a big deal. Getting off of things when you mess things up, or what I mean. Solving an issue fast is just such a big thing for sports teams, in my opinion. And I feel like those are the things that stuck in the middle teams do very poorly. So
Yeah,
hopefully
100%.
they get themselves out of the middle and definitely off of the bottom. And we'll see them rise as the years go on. Not for your sake, again, because it's a division rival, but
I love them sucking.
5 wins isn't bad. But yeah, 2 years ago you said that, and instantly I remembered this stat that I do still believe to be true. The only AFC quarterback to beat Jalen Hurts in the regular season is Zach Wilson.
Mac Jones almost did it.
I'm pretty sure that's a real stat. I don't like. I'm trying to think if we lost any other AFC teams regular season. I know the Super Bowl. Ouch. But pretty sure he's like not that there's a plethora of games to go through, but I think he has beaten in regular season all of the top four quarterbacks that are usually considered the consensus top four in Mahomes and Allen, Burrow, and Lamar. I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts is 4-0 against them in the regular season. So, but yeah, 2 years ago the Jets broke my heart. That sucked.
Zach
That's what
Wilson, the GOAT.
started. That's actually what started the downfall. Like truly, there's the
Yeah,
beginning of the end.
it was the
But
first sign, or
yeah,
it wasn't the first sign, but
I
it
think
was
it
like the
was.
most important warning sign.
Yeah, it was awful. It was a bad game. Jalen didn't look great, but that was 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
he's a
So
Super
just
Bowl
to run
MVP
through
now.
it, just to run through it real quick, just give an overview. Me and you have the exact same placements. We have the Bills winning, Patriots coming in second, Dolphins third, Jets fourth. We are not that different again on our predictions, just a few things here and there. But overall, we seem to have the AFC East being a very competitive, a sneakily competitive division. Like 2 years ago, I thought it was one of the hardest divisions in the NFL. Turned out not the case. And again, last year it was just a cakewalk for the Bills. But I do think almost like we were saying with Garrett Wilson, or where it's like, oh, it's a what if scenario. We need to see something. I feel like the AFC East has been like a almost like a fake tough division for the last few years. And I think this is the first year like solidifies like where there is two playoff teams. The Dolphins are a tough out, and the Jets are just they're gonna lose, but you're gonna feel them. They're gonna be
Scrappy.
physical.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a good running attack. It's not gonna be Brees Hall necessarily, but between Justin Fields, Brees Hall, Allen, like it's gonna be an effective team, just not effective enough.
They have a lot of the
Yeah,
pieces to compete.
yeah.
To compete.
Which is weird. The way I talk about them, the fact that I have the Dolphins winning double the games than they do, but I'm so out on the Dolphins, and I see a lot of good things about the Jets, but having half the wins, it is a little bit like I won't lie, hypocritical, I guess, but
Contradictory.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
better word.
I would say to go easy on yourself a little bit because of two things. Two T's: talent and time. There's more talent, top end talent on the Dolphins roster, and that goes into wins. They directly correlate to wins. I think that we both can agree. If you have
Yeah,
talented players when they're as talented as like Tyreek 2 years ago. Last year wasn't so hot if I remember correctly. But I mean that dude can win you games. He just can. So talent like that, it just gets measured differently when you're going win
mm,
loss situations, and also the time part of things was more so like giving Aaron Glenn some room to grow, room to build something. You're just not the expectation shouldn't be playoffs out the gates, and I don't think it is. I just mean like got to give yourself a bit of a break. He's got to go in there. He's got to instill his culture, his plans, and how he wants to do things, and get his own quarterback.
yeah. That wraps up this first episode of the Wings versus Rings podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next week.